What is this? Yeah, February 20, 2026. Friday afternoon, Friday morning. Will be afternoon soon. Snowing here in Connecticut, of all things. And I am
Wow.
pleased to have Mark Fellmutter with Fast Track. How are you, Mark? Besides under the weather, I know that. So how are you?
A little fluey, but doing well. It's been a pretty cold winter, hasn't it? That's for sure. It's old fashioned, like we used to see back in the 80s and 70s. But yeah, doing fine. Everything's well.
Good. Mark, introduce yourself to the audience, those that do not know you. I've known you for now 5 years, but Fast Track, who you are, what you do, a little bit about Fast Track, and we can kind of dive in from there.
Yeah, so Fast Track Industries, I'd say we're an anomaly. So everything that we've put our hands on, so to speak, is either patent pending or best in class. So we really focus on the innovation side of business, best practices. We figure out or best practices. I'm sorry, are good for your ROI. And so everything we have is intended to to save time, money, and improve results. So we started, believe it or not, 25 years ago. We bought a patent from a gentleman up in Wisconsin for one product, and here we are 25 years later, still in business, still fighting the good fight, trying to change paradigms because oftentimes in our industry, sometimes it's the greasy wheel, the squeaky wheel gets greased, right? So we're not a huge multinational company, but we're U.S. based, and everything that we have is really designed for your benefit. So that's kind of what we do. And we recently, we'll talk about this in a little while. We recently added a couple new innovations that should get you to think about maybe some better ways of doing things as far as cleaning. And our primary focus has always been on the hard floor side, which it still is. I mean, our application technologies are still the number one in the world. We've been knocked off by some of the large chemical manufacturers, but we're still standing, and we stand by the fact that we are the original inventors of our finish applicators. But we'll kind of transition into the carpet realm if we can. So yeah, and then we have a few other really unique products that we know we're really adapting our business to the trends that we see. I don't know, Jack and I have spoken about flooring trends have changed, right? Floor finishes are still being applied, but I don't think at the rate that they once were, which again is a conversation that we can have in and of itself based on Jack's background with working for a major chemical manufacturer, his long industrious career. So we're adapting to the market. We have to, and we're also trying to get our messaging out. So we really appreciate the invite being part of this podcast because it's about education and transparency. I think that's
No,
really
that
important.
transparency, education, all that stuff. And those that do not know, Mark's very modest. Mark's also got under the weather. So this guy is a quintessential sales guy. He is. If anyone's excited, I would say you're probably in the top who are most excited about this industry, and what you bring to the table. You know what I call you? You know your nickname for me is the Indiana Jones of the cleaning industry. And the reason I say that, Mark, and I mean that in all sincerity, because I love Indiana Jones in the movies. But Indiana Jones, because you go out into the jungle, you go across the world, you find stuff that no one ever knew existed, and you basically beat it up, test it, make sure it's legit, and then you bring it back stateside here and just start to offer this. So you're that Indiana Jones of going out there and really making the world that we're kind of limited in. And again, we all get in this silo of this cleaning zone in the United States, but it's worldwide. And there's some
Mhm.
clever ideas coming across the whole wide world. And I think, we're going to talk about them a couple of days, but thank you for what you do. And if you don't get enough thank yous, you should, because you're doing a lot of the groundwork that others don't do and others don't want to do. So God bless you for that, man.
Appreciate that, and I do have, and I'm intended to go to Interclean again in a couple of months because we have a couple strategic partners over there that we met over the years. So I'm gonna hop on a plane and go over and have some meetings and maybe look for some more sourcing of other ideas because several of the items that we do not manufacture, right? We have alliances with other manufacturers that understand they need feet on the street in the states, right? Especially in North America. So we feel that we have a reputation that would facilitate that we are innovators, and we will take it to the marketplace. So looking forward to that for sure. So yeah, it's been an interesting journey for sure. And again, we've also, over the years, not to get in the weeds, we've had inventors show up at our booth at ISSA, right, with their ideas, right? They said, hey, listen, we've already paid for the booth. If you have something different, unique, come to the booth. And we've done that over the last 20 years, and some of them never worked out. But you never know, right? Because to enter into a market, it's difficult to enter into a market. The barrier to entry to launch a product is very expensive, as we all know. But so we always have an open door policy. I mean, I had a lady had this really unique cleaning cloth of all things, right?
Yeah.
And she came and I said, bring 1,000 samples, and she did. And you know what? It was a great product. Unfortunately, she didn't really understand what go to market meant. And like many inventors that have patents or think they have something that's the next pet rock, didn't understand that there's a lot more that goes into that than just having a great product. So you have to have the organization, and you have to have something that's actually going to work, right? So yeah, so it's been a great journey. I mean, I could have made more money, I think, if I never started the business back in the day. But it's not always about the money; it's about really changing paradigms.
You would have had an itch to get out and explore. So that's Indiana Jones. Why? Yeah, interesting story. Like just things you bump into. My daughter's actually her freshman year last year. She was we got one of the kids who lived in the dorm was the inventor. The father, I guess his father was the inventor of the Scrub Daddy.
Oh,
Simple things that you never think about. That just this guy's killing it. He was on Shark Tank. They're now moving into the commercial space. I don't know if you saw that, Mark. So you might want to reach out to those guys to see how maybe you can help with that as well. But they're moving from residential to commercial. So just change. But before we dive into a couple products, and again, thank you for being here. Given your experience of going outside the U.S. to looking for innovation, what are some of the takeaways? Because again, I think we all get siloed in what we sell as a manufacturer, as a distributor, what we sell, the solutions that we believe in. But on the world stage, how does that if you remove the United States, what's the difference between what you're hearing the conversation in the United States, whether it be productivity rates, whether it be whatever it may be, green sustainability. When you go overseas, what is the thing that's catching you off guard or not off guard, but surprising you that says we're not talking about that here yet in the States? Is there anything that just catches the top of mind for you?
I'll go back 20 years when I went to Italy and went and visited a company called Philmop. Okay, that's a common name, right? And I
Now,
went
yes,
with a
now it is.
gentleman. Yeah, I went with a gentleman over there, and it was during the Italian summer holiday, and brought back the first microfiber technology that ever hit the shores of our country. And I was just awestruck when I saw that. I go, I've never seen this before, right? And this is 20 years ago, and and again, there's the bad side of the story was I was involved with the wrong gentleman on that project, but that could have been a great hit for us. But unfortunately, so when I saw the microfiber, I go, and it just really kind of began to generate in my mind why they do it, why they do it, why they do what they do. And I think it has a lot to do with the price of petroleum, believe it or not. I mean, they're paying a lot of money for petrochemicals. So if they can make these pads out of synthetic materials, right? And then there's longevity versus that 1972 spaghetti cotton mop, right? That's going to get nasty and last maybe a month. This stuff is sustainable, so they're in it for the
Sure.
long game, right? Which I think says a lot about that because Europe is a different country. They don't have the resources that we have as far as natural resources on the landfill space. They're paying a premium for petroleum. They're very much dependent on other foreign sources. So they have to manufacture products with that in mind, and that really kind of changed my viewpoint. And then I've met a couple of Europeans, a gentleman named Hans Mulch from Switzerland, and he's another fellow that I work with quite closely. And he grew up in Switzerland, and he came to the U.S. in 1982 with the first shower feed pad holder, and sold it to Rubbermaid back in the day. So I've got those ties over there, and I find these people to be very refreshing. And I always said, I think you guys are smarter than we are. And I go, no, we're not smarter. We just said we have to do with we have to design things based on what we have. It's like if you're going to make spaghetti sauce or whatever I have in my cupboard, I have to use that, right? Whether and then if I don't have enough paste, then I'll use something else. I'll put some carrots in. So these guys have to adapt, but there are some good ideas. I mean, really, I mean, I have a lot of respect for it now. That change in the U.S. comes pretty slow, right? Because we have a product, that's very unique for trash remediation. But guess what? People are selling traditional liners, and they're like, nah, I'm stocking, 17 different sizes. I don't want to just have to stock two, right? Well, but there's an ROI to that. So I
Sure.
find it very refreshing that those ideas are out there. So very much excited about the future.
I love it. Love it. Let's talk about one of your products that you wanted to kind of get up on and this like innovation. So I'm going to bring the screen up and tell me a
Thank you.
little bit about this. Like, tell me the story. Like, how did you stumble into this product and why this product and why are you, what piqued your interest about this thing?
So here we go again. So we were at ISSA, and this company was there from Australia, and they had a great response. And then a peer of mine said, "Hey, we need to talk to Frank. Here's something that's brand new that's quite unique." And again, this is called Activate, and the idea behind this is like everything else we do, it's to improve ROI, right? So instead of going back and forth at your little carpet wand that most backpacks have, this is a powered head, right? So it's nice and large. It's 12-inch, but it's got a pivotal technology. It's patented, and it allows you to basically increase your productivity for backpack cleaning by 50%. And you notice there's a tray on the lower right hand corner. That's
Yep.
because it can be used as a yeah, exactly. It can be used as a broom, electric broom. So you can use it on hard surface, but you can hook it up to anybody's backpack. So we're backpack agnostic. So whatever backpack you're going to use, but at the end of the day, it has an adjustable handle. So the ergonomics of this is far superior than the ones I demoed one the other day with somebody, and I had to be, and I'm a tall fella. I had to bend over and to even use this traditional head. But with this, you can extend this, so I can literally make that sweeping motion, and I can literally clean 50% faster with this. And plus, anybody in the building service contractor market knows that when you use a double head, you have two brushes, you're actually pile lifting, and it actually looks like you actually clean, right? And that's important. I think the visual is important. But we showed this at ISA, and it was a phenomenal response to this. So again, this comes out of Australia, and they said, "Hey, we'd love you to bring it to market." Now, what does that mean? That means that 34-letter word called work, right? Because now we have to go out and engage our customers. But what a great product! I mean, I don't get too excited. I'm an old codger, right? So I've seen a lot, but this one here is really really amazing. So I think it's gonna take some work for us to change that paradigm for sure. But I love this product. It's
Yep.
one of our newer ideas, right? So we're not sitting still waiting on yesterday's success. We're just going to try to continue to push the envelope and give people ideas that really have an impact. And a lot of building service contractor, as you know, there's a lot of backpacks being used, and it'll also work on a canister back. So if you have a canister bank, but on the backpack side of things, there's a lot of backpacks being used. But I think efficiency wise, this takes you to a whole new level, and ergonomically, it's phenomenal because that power head is powered, right? So you're actually gliding over, the surface at a very nice rate. So great product for sure. And again, if
Help me understand this from your angle when you go in. So first of all, those companies that have large amounts of square footage that they need to clean of hard floor care.
Mhm.
Again, it could be hard, it could be carpeted. Them making the move to a backpack is hands down the best decision ever because your production rates increase somewhat drastically. But as you walk in, again, everything's about a ROI. It takes a lot of people a long time to really not a long time, takes them a long time to act on moving toward a cordless battery backpack. But once they do, they'll never go back because they see the gains they're getting. When you step into and you're seeing that they've got all of these backpacks, ready to, in operations, what's your angle on how do you justify the ROI of saying, hey, take the head you got now, let's replace it with this? The 50%, that makes total sense, but walk me through your angle on saying You made the right move by going cordless backpack. You've got a great head on it right now, but I could put a better head on it. And again, take me through that kind of ROI approach, if you wouldn't mind.
I would love to. So not just the head, by the way, it's the head and the handle. So the actual handle itself, where the man's that whole handle is part of the device because it extends out, right? So you can extend it up or down. So that gives you the ability to extend it out, and that really speaks to the fact that, and this was brought to my attention at ISSA because there are a lot of battery backpack vacuums out there. So if we're saying to the apps folks at a large BS, hey, listen, guys, you have an hour and a half runtime, right? And then that's probably standard. So you have an hour and a half runtime on your backpack, and we can increase your productivity by 50%. What kind of impact does that have? We just doubled your cleaning, right? So if you see that as the true ROI, then now we're like that backpack. We're going to get twice as much done because that battery life is not going to change, right? It's going to run, but if we're moving quickly, we're going to vacuum twice the area, and we're going to improve the results. So that's kind of a double-edged sword. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. If you can document that and show that, hell, even a 30%, I would take that all day long. A 25%, I would take all day. A 20%. So if 50 is the optimum, you can get that. Then anything more than zero is in positive territory. Yeah, ballpark, what kind of cost point are you looking at? Again, won't hold you to it, but ballpark, what are you looking at for one of these heads?
Let's see. The head is. Let's see here. I should have that. I should have been more prepared. 450 is the list, is the map price, and that's the manufacturer advertised price. It comes with the battery is built in, and again, it's something that's built very, very well, so it's extremely durable. They did a great job on it.
I think that's things that the contractors, the good contractors, great. I'm saying the good, the bad. The smart contractors get it, that the ROI, if they're looking at this and I'm doing X number of square feet a week or month, it's easy to run the ROI. So I think that's a no-brainer. So good. All right. Well, the Australians brought something to the table other than Outback. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. We actually have a contractor I'm working with down in Australia right now. He's on the east coast of it. I think Perth is where he is. I believe it is where he is. But he's a good dude. He's kind of getting started off. So I'll mention this to him as well. But the second item now, this is a long-standing line for you. I think every trade show I see, you have this at the show. Talk to me about this.
Okay, so here we go. So once again, what I like about this particular product is it's made in USA. But what's cool is that, again, we're cordless, right? So we have two lithium-ion batteries that are mounted on that unit. Now you only use one at a time, right? So you plug in your first battery, and you're off to the races. So I can clean 30,000 square feet an hour with this 28-inch vacuum. But it's not a sweeper. So there's the difference between a sweeper and a vacuum. Is a sweeper and a vacuum creates 200 CFM, and plus we have high filtration on this machine. So beneath the gray bag is that green bag that goes inside. So we have it's a HEPA rated bag. But the cool part about this device is that you can use it on any surface, right? So if you look at the markets, I mean, everything is wide open. So we have a bunch of these out in Vegas, right? At some of these properties, because they have copious amounts of area they have to clean. So they can go ahead and use this all the hallways. But if you notice, you can also use it for on any VCT, LVT wood. So this machine has a lot of versatility, right? So the traditional dust mop has been around since I was born. It's a long time, right? So all of a sudden we're like, now we have something that you can use for vacuuming. So everybody's been pushing a dust mop, right, forever and ever and ever. And I'm on anti-dust mop, but I'm like, well, wait a minute. If we're really going to kick up our productivity, we need to be looking at better methodology. So we do a lot of business in the school market as well. So this can be used, on any surface. So we're improving the AIQ, right? Air quality is a big important part of this. So being able to use this positionally in any facility is a huge gain. And it's 70, I think it's 72 pounds, but it's also brush assist. So really, it's so lightweight. Anybody can use this. I mean, you can once you adjust the cantilever, the machine kind of just drives itself. All you do is just hang on and then go up and down, and you can get a lot of surface done. So this one here for us has been extremely productive for us. So I think this one here is going to be one of our top sellers. Actually, our finish applicators are still dominant in what we sell and go to market. But this one here, I mean, there's a lot of carpet out there, right? Even though flooring trends have changed, this is an amazing machine. And if you look at it, it's not very sexy. Sorry, but you know what though? It's functional. So I'll take functionality over sexy any day, right? Because sometimes all these machines, these modern machines, all the printed circuit boards, Murphy's Law, right? Whatever can go wrong will go wrong. So with this, it's like, you know what? It's a very simple design. It's designed to just work, right? So and we're proud of that fact, right? That it's a battleship, is what it is, so to speak. So love this.
Let me ask you this, Mark. Where does that filtration, this filter, where does that actually set?
That goes in right beneath the gray bag. Yeah, so you zip the bag, right?
Yep.
The gray bag, and you go, the bag goes back, and then you zip the bag, and you put the green filter in, and you zip the gray bag up, so the filter is inside the filter. That makes sense?
Yes.
Really easy to get to. Yeah, and then the batteries, the batteries themselves are, they're lithium ion, so and the cool part is that you can use this for an hour and a half, and then let's just say you're working a large area, right, in a convention center. Well, I use that machine for an hour and a half. All of a sudden, the battery quits. And guess what I do? I switch the battery to the second battery, right? And now I've got another hour and a half of runtime, and I can take that spent battery and charge that while I'm using the second battery. So this will give you pretty much unlimited runtime, right? So you can knock out a lot of square footage. So you
said 25,000 square feet, is that right?
Productivity. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have domination on productivity of HEPA filtration. You have multi-surfaces. You've got something that anybody can use, and it's made in the States. So we support this product. And again, a yard and a half of capacity. It's a very dominant product. I mean, again, it's designed to get the work done. And again, you're not tethered to a cord, right? So cords are necessary, but sometimes they're not. So having cordless operation is just such a free to get a lot of work done in a small amount of time and space.
Yeah, if you don't have the budget for a ride-on scrubber, a walk-behind scrubber. More importantly, I'm thinking retail right now. Schools, I get it. Retail, I'm thinking you got to navigate around these concrete floors or the VCT floors that are even carpeted, I guess, that are, you can't get a machine around. So, right now backpack is to some level, but you're sitting on 28-inch model. So you got some width. You're hauling ass pretty well. So
you are. I like it. I mean, and I'm not anti-robot, but there's a lot of robotics out there. But though, if you did a comparison between this and a robotic vacuum, you could probably buy 10 of these.
Wow.
Right, for the price of one robot. So that also I think can play into, right. Sometimes I think having I'll call this a semi robot, right. This robot has robotic tendencies, but at the end of the day, it's going to be much faster than a robot because you can walk with this thing. Where robotics are great; they're not going away, and I'm not discounting them, but you can walk as fast as you want with this machine, and you're not tethered to any software contracts. But again, I'll leave it at that. So it's really fits a niche for sure for us.
Awesome. Well, no, good stuff, and no, appreciate your perspective, and no, what you're doing to the for the industry, moving these things out there, making them aware. You said you're headed somewhere next to a show. Where's your next show at?
I'm going to Raleigh, Durham, North Carolina to Brame Specialties. They're having their 100th year anniversary, and they're having their customer appreciation. So they invited us to be there. So anybody in the Carolina market can by and see us there. Mike Collins, a great individual, and we're going to be showing our wares there. Some of our wares are on the floor, and we'll be dancing and doing all kinds of demos and engaging people and showing them how to be better at what they do.
We'll give Mercer a hard time for me as well. Give Mike a hello for me as well. And even Keekline, Tom Keekline. I have not said that name. Find a guy named Tom Keekline, get Mike Holland, and you put a challenge in place. Mike can sell better than anyone down there. There's a lot of good sellers at Brame, but put a challenge on Holland and Keekline. Good people, really good people.
Absolutely. I appreciate your
And
time.
they're not exiting. They're not selling. I guess there's a lot of people who'd like to buy them, but they're not selling. But no, I appreciate your
You know what?
perspective. I appreciate what you've done. The Indiana Jones of the commercial cleaning industry. So good to
And
see
I
you as
live
always,
in
Mark.
Crown Point, Indiana. And I live in Crown Point, Indiana, for the record. So I guess that works. I'll take that title.
I think you need to get a bullwhip and the Indiana hat, and that's your stick moving forward, man.
Maybe next time I'll put the hat on for you. Okay.
Well, we'll have your
Thank you
information
very much.
posted underneath the show notes. So feel free to reach out to Mark to look at any of this stuff. Mark is known for getting out there and doing demos as well where it makes sense. So if you got an opportunity that you want to explore, start the conversation with Mark. So Mark, thank you very much for joining us on the Chasing Dirt Show, and have a good weekend. And hope you're feeling better soon.
Thanks, Jack.